Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. For the next couple of weeks, we'll be assessing the business enablement environment here in Ghana. How well is your business thriving, considering all the interventions by government, from tax reforms to paperless innovations? Would love to hear from you on this as we go along. Today, we'll start the conversation with the tax reform module. What are these reforms at all? First of all, what are they? And are there any progress made so far with these reforms? Most importantly, what are the challenges? Because then we will know how it is required to make the system, what is required to make the system more efficient. Joining me to do this conversation is Nana Osei-Bonsu. He's with the Private Enterprise Federation. Nana, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And also here in the studio is Dr. Patrick Frimpong. Dr. Patrick Frimpong. Patrick Frimpong, so I'll be joined by a doctor. That has got me mixed up a little bit. But I've got Patrick Frimpong from the Office of the Commissioner for Domestic Tax Reforms. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. We'll be joined momentarily as well by Dr. Holmes via Skype. Hi there, Dr. Holmes. Can you hear us?
I can.
Yeah. Perfectly. So that is Dr. Andrew A.J. Holmes. He's with ISA, and they have a report here on the progress and challenges of our tax policies, etc. So let's begin this conversation. There's a lot that we're doing here. And essentially, one thing you should not miss out on is that this is supposed to help businesses. It's supposed to help people who run their own shops. You know, you do your own papa here and there and all of that. This is supposed to help you understand the system. Is it easy for you to do business? What are the bottlenecks and what can be done about it? So these gentlemen are here to help us. Let me start with you, Nana, because you can give us a better idea about this entire program as well and what we seek to achieve with it. Let's begin with that. What should people expect from these conversations, series of conversations that we'll be having over the next weeks? The
conversation is to bring the attention of the difficulties of running a business or conducting business, being compliance of the tax requirements and all. And that had been the backbone of the things that we need to do so at least private sector can pay their taxes and also get government revenue in place for government to execute its agenda. The difficulties had occurred over a period of time, but in 2015, DFID initiated Business Enabling Environment Program that were assisting reforming some of the institutions that are involved in, and there were 4 institutions that were involved in the BEP, Business Enabling Environment Program. The first one is GRA. GRA involved with taxes, also involved in paperless at the ports. Then we have the commercial courts, and we also have the Register Generals. But today we're only going to talk about the taxes, right? Because how the taxes affect people and the businesses, and how easy it is, and also how difficult or costly it is to be in compliance of a tax requirement. So businesses definitely will want to comply, but sometimes there's a misconception that businesses don't want to pay their taxes. But nobody goes to pay taxes at cost. Because if I'm going to go pay my tax and I have to spend 4 hours at the location, why would I want to go?
You'd want to go because the law,
the law requires that everybody
the law will catch up with you if you don't.
If you don't go. If you don't go. But we want to, that's why we're dialoguing with
But then it affects your business.
Because you have to close your doors to go and spend 4 hours. And whilst you're doing that, the guy who doesn't pay their taxes is not good.
Getting away with it.
They're getting your customers and clientele. So the cost of doing business is raised basically because of this ineffective and inefficient programs and systems in place. But GRA is coming up with these systems to assist private sector. The system, and I think Patrick is going to describe more.
And I will go into that with Patrick momentarily. I will also go into the reports we have here from ISA with Dr. Holmes so that he'll explain to us the challenges they have identified. But let's start from the ground. You're working with the people on the ground. What can you say as far as the challenges enterprises face when it comes to taxation?
One, the tax regulations are not friendly. That the language is too strong and too high over and above the heads of a lot of our small and medium enterprises. So now we need to dialogue for them to see where the difficulties are. The rules of filing taxes. Why do you have to go and spend hours? So we need a very convenient mechanism to allow businesses to sit in the confines of their offices and then comply with the taxes. Because at the end of the day, what are we looking at? Compliance requirements on the part of business. Who would want to pay so far as they earn the income and the profit margins and are required by law to pay. So these challenges make it difficult for small and medium enterprises who normally don't even understand the tax statutes and don't even take advantage of the codes in the tax statutes. So what we do now is, through this program, creating a reform atmosphere attitude with the duty bearers, this time GRA, to find ways to make it easy for taxpayers to pay their taxes. That will create voluntary compliance on the part instead of going to chase them. It also lowers the cost of tax administration because if I'm doing it on my own, you don't have to come and chase me. So those are the kind of things we brought to their attention and being supported at DFID BIP program and working with the GRA to make sure that, and most importantly, the private sector out there gets to know that things are changing. And then if they become part of this crusade, we can all make sure that GRA complies with all the things that they need to do, and private sector businesses also comply with all they need to be complied with.
Okay, so then it's good that we have someone from the Office of the Commissioner. I assume that must be the highest of the positions at GRA. Okay, no, I mean, since you're coming from the Office of the Commissioner, that the concerns that will be raised here will be taken there and that it will be resolved at that level. So I'll come to you so that we talk about how we can deal with this going forward. But let's look at this report here by ISA. It says the Assessment of Business Enabling Environment Program, the Tax Reform Module, Lessons for Policy Engagement and Public Education, and it's prepared by the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA. Dr. Holmes, are you there?
Right here. Thanks for having me.
Very well. We're glad to have you as well. So I have a list here from Nana as far as the concerns that businesses, enterprises have when it comes to taxation. And I want you to give us a summary of your report. I do have a report here, but I want you to give us a summary of your report to find out whether or not it resonates with the list I have here from Nana. Do you want me to go through the list for you?
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, so he talks about tax regulation, which he says is unfriendly, first of all. He talks about the language in itself. It's not very appealing, not very appetizing to people who don't already, I mean, if they have their way, wouldn't want to pay. So he also talks about the rules. That doesn't make for efficiency. For example, you need to go and be in a queue for a very long time. It ends up affecting your business. You are being compliant, but then you close your shop, and somebody else who is not being compliant is taking your business away. So essentially, it doesn't make for efficiency and it doesn't improve compliance. He also talks about a lack of understanding by a lot of these businesses because they don't it's not friendly in the first place. They wouldn't even take their time to go through it. They don't understand it. Also because perhaps the GRA has not made it easy for them to understand. And then they talk also about voluntary compliance. What are the things we can do to make people compliant voluntary? That is lacking as well. So tell us the results of your research.
So it's interesting how Nana puts those 4 or 5 points down very quickly, and they are very important. I have a friend who has a first degree, and so we would assume he's a bit knowledgeable and should understand the tax system and be able to comply without force. But he tells me that he doesn't really know where to even go and get his taxes paid or what he should even pay. He prepares cakes for weddings, and he's been doing this for some time. I'm not saying go and locate him and collect the money, but he has not been paying simply because he doesn't understand. So that's the first group of people. There is no education about taxes within the national educational curriculum. So you enter the world of work and taxes come to you. You don't even understand the language, as Nana says. So that is one side. Then the other side has to do with how the tax is administered. There are a number of bottlenecks which over the years JRA has attempted to remove. First of them is that which has to do with the platform on which we pay the taxes.
Okay.
So in 2011, 2012, GRA attempted to introduce what we call TRIPS, Total Revenue Integrated Processing System, which was by and large to computerize the way in which we pay taxes. So you go to the office, you hand over your documents, and they are scanned onto a system which can be returned to at all times and used for the purposes of taxation. So they started the TRIPS, and they've been doing this for some time. Then, more recently, in April, they also introduced a new one called ITAPS, which now allows the taxpayer to file their taxes online. So the first phase was to equip the workers at GRA with what they need to administer the tax. And the second phase is to also provide accessible platforms upon which taxpayers can put them in there. So one would have thought that bringing all these things together and spending money, brain resources, and physical resources, we should see progress in the proportions of taxes paid. It should be easy for taxpayers to pay, but that has not happened as quickly as we expect. And as we go on, I would put forward some of the typical findings. But let me begin with a few. Number one, we realized that the platforms that JRA developed related to the TRIPS are based mainly on radio transmission systems instead of fiber optics. That's where we started. So it made usage of the platforms very difficult at peak times. But we've seen JRA migrate to the use of fiber optics, especially in the Accra area. So around the beginning of, let's say, 2018, the system could go down 3 times a week. But now we've seen that reduce drastically, where in some places we don't see any down times at all. But these problems continue to exist. There are also certain tax offices which are yet to be enrolled onto the TRIPS platform. So the manual system continues, and it makes the tax payment very difficult. One last thing you may be interested in is that around the Takrady enclave, taxpayers have realized that the amount of time they spent in paying taxes has actually declined by nearly 25%. So if they were spending an hour to get their taxes paid, today they are able to do it in 45 minutes. About a year ago, it took about 2 months to generate a 10. This time it can be done in 10 minutes. If you go there and your forms are already filled, it can be done very quickly for you. So
10 minutes, because I know a friend who has been trying to get a 10 done and it hasn't been successful. He actually said he presented this document and it's been what, about 2 or 3 months?
Which branch, please?
This will be somewhere in Medina or Adenta.
Yes, so I can make a discussion in a more nuanced way by referring to different tax offices.
Very well.
Obviously, you know that Medina has about 800 small taxpayers, businesses which file their taxes. And the volume of work at Medina is quite enormous. And somewhere around November, we realized the system was down for so many times. But there has been some progress. So in my mind, different tax offices are doing better than others. And I will elaborate on this and tell you why that is happening. One of the things that the tax office has done is to have different tables for different assignments. So you pay your VIT on one table. If you have to pay any other tax, you go to another table. I'm not quite sure what other tax offices have done now. We are still collecting data. So in some tax offices, or previously, what they were doing is that if I had to pay 3 different kinds of, or do 3 different activities in the tax office, then I will go to one table and they will attend me. That does not allow for improved efficiency. So what we saw in the Takrady small tax office, was that now there is a different table for just enquiries, different table for generating 10 numbers, different tables for paying payee, etc. So that has actually brought some efficiency, and we might want to do it around the country if it's not already been done.
Okay. And I'm going to stop you there because it's becoming an overload of information at this point. And that's how researchers behave, by the way. They've got the information, they've got a lot of information, and they need to push it out. So, Doc, thank you a lot. Thank you very much for this information. And I'm going to try and break it down and you know, make it relevant to the conversation as indeed it is. So he talks about the research that they have done, and indeed, I like the way he goes about it. He talks about the progress that have been made, because then that encourages us to go on, and we know that something is working. Okay, but there are also some problems that he started with, especially the putting this in the national educational curriculum. I'm not sure whether or not there is a plan, because just recently we've had some changes in the curriculum. I'm not sure if taxation was a part of it. He also talks about the administrative bottlenecks, and I believe that you followed all that he said. How do you address these challenges? Let's start with Dr. Holmes's challenges, and then we'll come to Nana's own.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then thank you too for ISA. They are trying to bring a lot of things, and then I know they are doing a good job for us. And this are information that we need to improve upon our system. So it's good that they do those things. Now, I want to start from the BIP end, the Business Enabling Environment end, which what GRE is a program that DFID came out, and then they are as intervention for us to be able to help the private sector to make it easy for them to pay taxes. Now, we have about 8 timelines, or we call it 8 goalposts that we want to achieve under the Business Enabling Environment. One of them is the ease of doing business. We want to improve upon our ranking ease of doing business. If you look at paying taxes, we are now 116. We want to improve upon that. And the whole Ghana, under the 11 indicators, we are 114. We want to improve upon that one. One of the things that we also want to do based on these things, that we want to reduce the cost it costs the taxpayer to comply with taxes. How much does it cost you if you just want to pay your taxes? We want to reduce that time. And therefore, we needed to come up with an intervention that will solve that thing. Other things that we want to do is that we want to be able to help the businesses to keep proper records.
Sorry to interrupt. Can we take it one after the other? If you talk about the first problem that you highlighted, have you done anything about it already? Do you want to share that with us?
So what we've done is that all these things we are addressing this in one system. We have come up with a system called ITAPS, you know, and you mentioned the ITAPS.
Okay, so what it means is that all the list, what you had on the list, had one solution.
Yes, it's a one solution.
So then go through the list, and then we can get to the solution.
Okay, right. So the list, one of them is we want to improve upon our ease of doing business. That's one. We want to reduce the cost and time it costs the taxpayer to comply with tax. We also want to give the taxpayer a system that will allow them to keep proper records for tax purposes. We want to do that. Also, we want to improve upon the quality of return that the taxpayers submit to us. If you remember, Andrew said that he got a friend and he doesn't know when they are filing return, he doesn't know what to get.
Yes, me too.
Yes. So this system is going to allow you, and you will submit a quality return. Meaning that when you submit a quality return, meaning that it becomes very difficult for us to come and do your audit. Why? Because all our business rules is in the system, which it forces you to do the right thing.
I see.
So by the time your report or your return comes out, it's something like a tax person has looked at it and has done it for you. So we are giving you a system that will prepare your returns for you.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, but are you done with your list? Because I'm putting your list down.
Okay. The other one is also about revenue assurance.
Okay.
In our systems, we have a model that when a withholding agent uses to deduct tax at source, as soon as the tax is deducted, we are aware. And therefore, at the end of the period, we know how much the revenue that is coming, so we are sure of revenue. Also, with this system, we want to simplify and make it convenient for users. And we are bringing our services to the doorstep of our taxpayers.
And I'm saying this because I'm sure, I mean, the guy, the guy who is doing the tabletop business, the guy who is doing the informal business, who is looking to be compliant, you know, because he's probably a Christian and wants to be truthful and honest to nation building, is thinking about, is listening to GRA and thinking that really GRA, will you be able, will you be able to do this as you say? This is, I mean, brilliant plan. But again, at the end of the day, it boils down to implementation,
Yes,
and that's the
yeah.
problem we suffer here in Ghana. So I believe that you're done with the list.
Yes, I'm done with the list.
Okay, I've got your list here. The question I wanted to ask is, when it comes to returns, tax returns, can you give us a bit of education?
Okay.
Dr. Holmes talks about his friend who does his cake business. Yeah. There are lots of people who are doing businesses now, a lot of young people especially who are doing businesses now. Some of us don't even understand when you say tax returns, when you say I'm going to file my tax returns. In fact, you don't even know where to start from. Can you help us with a bit of education? I have started a business. We do cakes. What do we do if we want to be truthful, we want to be honest to the system and pay?
Okay. Okay, thank you. You know, when you talk about tax return or you have a business, or I want to use you as an example, typical example, yeah. You are an employee of multimedia. Now, at the end of every month, they deduct something from your salary.
No, that's different. What I want to talk about is me doing my business.
Yes, the same thing.
He's going to go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to start with, let's start from, so that they deduct taxes from your salary and pay to GRA every month. Okay. Now, the law requires you that at the end of the year, meaning that this year, by April ending, that's 30th April, you should have filed your annual return.
Me?
Yes.
After giving my money, after the company has taken my money as source?
Your organization will give you what we call the 51 supplementary. Okay. It's the summary of your monthly deduction, which will give you your total for the year. Okay. So you use that one to file. Now, the beauty about this is that we have developed a system which is called the ITAPS.
The ITAPS.
And we have deployed the PIT, that's the personal income tax module. Okay. Which allows you to go in there and it will help you. You put in your figure and that's all the calculation for you. Then you can file at your convenience. Okay. So that one. Now, somebody who has got a business, you have a cake, as the doc was saying.
Yeah. And Doc, this is for your friend as well. I hope he's watching.
Yes. At the end of the year, because he makes payments, he buys things, and then he makes payments, he's making business. At the end of the year, he's supposed to prepare accounts. Now, there are two types of taxpayers we have right now. We have what we call the self-assessment people, who the law requires them that they will initially, in the beginning of the year, they will come and tell GRA that I can pay 100 Ghana cedis only for the whole year. Okay. And GRA will accept it. Okay. But the law requires you that anytime your circumstance changes, you have to come back and tell us that I say I'll pay 100, now I'll pay 200. Okay. And at the end of the year, we'll penalize you when we bring your return. Now, there are other parts where they are provisional assessment. Then when GRA tells you that you come and pay 1,000 Ghana cedis.
Because they look at the kind of business you're doing, and they think that you should pay this amount.
You look at the sector, the economic benefits about that sector. They say pay 1,000 Ghana cedis.
At the beginning of the year?
At the beginning of the year. Okay. Then you can say that, looking at my time, I can object to. The law allows you to say that I can do that. Okay. I can pay 500. Okay. You now settle.
You take the 500.
Yeah. Now, at the end of the year, you're supposed to prepare and file your return. In your return, you have your account. Yeah. So you have your expenditure, then your income, everything, and then your profit. And then we tax you only on profit. Okay. That's what we do. So in that one, when you are filing, so you also use the personal income tax to file your return, which we have developed. Okay. So it's a system that once you have your account, you can go onto that system and they put in the figures, and the system will do the calculation for you.
And then you can file. And you pay.
Yeah, you don't pay. You do everything online. You file, and the system allows you also to pay payment. If you want to make online payment, you can do that.
How do you get access to this system?
That's what we are starting the education from 4th June. 4th June. But right now, if you want to have access to it, if you go to our website, you will see other links. You will see that it's all linked to ITAPS. It's there. When you click, it gives you the platform. You have to first register first. Now, the registration you are doing portal registration. Okay. And your first requirement we need that you should have TIN, a valid TIN, taxpayer identification number. Yeah. Once you have that one, you can do your registration. Okay. Once you are able to do this registration, the services I'm talking about that GRA is bringing to your doorstep, you can have access to you anywhere you are in the world.
But that is not happening until 4th of June.
No, 4th June, we are educating the public. But
so
the system is right now.
We are starting the public education
yes,
on 4th June. Yes. But right now, the system is working.
Yes. Some people have done.
What pertained before this system?
Before this system means that, like your annual return, you will fill it manually. And walk to GRA and present it, and if you have to pay, you make payments. But now you are not going there anymore. You are doing everything online. That's what we are saving the cost of doing business.
Interesting. So you pay online as well?
Yes, you are allowed to pay. You can use mobile money, you can use all Visa card, all the payments.
Oh, that
model.
sounds
We can do
sophisticated.
that. Yes.
Okay, I'm coming back to you, Nana. It's been a while since we've been talking over your head. And I know you've been listening. You're following this, and it does make a lot of sense to you, I'm sure. He talks about what they want to achieve to ease the cost of to improve the ease of doing business. He talks about reducing the cost of compliance. Talks about the quality, ensuring the quality of returns, revenue assurance, and all of the things that come with it. You are dealing with enterprises, businesses.
Yeah.
Do you see the reflection of all of these in your activities?
This is a fantastic system that they bring in across, because first and foremost, there's always a cost to compliance. The business person, Dr. Holmes indicated, who doesn't know what to do, first has to hire somebody at cost before they can go pay the taxes. Okay. Who in their right mind will want to pay something at cost? You know, so that deters a lot of players from being in compliance. And also this system of record keeping, that's the most difficult in the private sector. Most businesses don't have records. And so when it comes to the annual return, they just like, oh, last month and previous month. Thank you. So then they put that in. And you know, the tax system is not friendly to that point because you made a mistake.
Right.
Because you didn't keep records. At that time, it wasn't encouraging you to do otherwise. So you'll be penalized for, you know, as he said, making the wrong estimation, then coming up with the, you know. But this ITAPS will now allow you to keep records as you go. Okay. So at the end of the year, once you plug in the numbers at the appropriate, situations on the platform, it generates that kind of activity that results in the calculation of the taxes. So that record keeping alone is really an eye-opener. It's really very conducive, because now government can also look at the record keeping. How many SMEs earning what income? And earning, within what bracket and all. Okay. So we can go back and aggregate this data that will assist us to be able to influence policy. Do we want all the taxpayers, SMEs, to be paying 25%? Or we want them to stagger, and some will pay fixed on a fixed rate, some will pay a staggered rate, some will pay the 25%. Making sure that affordability becomes the key. Okay. But as of now, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay. As of now, that's private sector advocacy going to that.
And I'm coming to you with that, because I wanted to find out if this is something. He says the system is already in place, except that public education is going to start in
very critical.
Is this something that your members, those of the people in your federation, are conversant with?
Yes, we've been going around talking about these taxes and the ITAPs and the, the systems. So it's new. People are not familiar with it. There's need to be intensive education, which we will join with GRA to be able to conduct across the nation. We need some brochures, we need some TV advertisement, a whole lot of things to allow average taxpayer to know that this is available to you. Availability is a key, because it reduces the costs and the burden of compliance. And that is what we think that GRA is now moving in the right direction to become a partner of the private sector. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going back to you, Dr. Holmes. I'm looking at your report here, and it says you have some, you list some challenges with the ITAPs. ITAPs?
No, TRIPS. That was the previous one.
Okay. Okay, so you say, for example, that computer literates interviewed in Ahiabo, and this is a study that you're referencing, they were not satisfied with the TRIPS. Do you get the feeling, based on what you have also told me earlier, that ITAPS is addressing all the concerns and the challenges that we had with the TRIPS?
Okay. So let me take it this way. When I was a child, there were no ATM machines, but bank tellers did have computers they used. So the TRIPS is like the computer that bank tellers use. And the ATM is the ITAPS.
Okay.
So you can, as a taxpayer, you can file your taxes through the ATM, in quotes, the ITAPS.
Okay.
But there should be some back office work going on. And both sides are critical. So the education we are talking about, it should not just be education. Education is different from training.
Okay.
So I would insist on training. You can inform people about things. You are educating them. But we are looking for skill sets which moves things faster than we've been doing it. So the first of this discussion, I want to make it around the trips. I mean the computers that the tellers use. First of all, before we introduce the trips, we already had paper records. And for some of the tax offices that we visited so far, they have succeeded in uploading just about 40 to 50% of these paper records onto the online system. Meaning there's a gap. You cannot look out for people's taxes on the computer maybe beyond 2000 and let's say 13.
Yeah.
And that also hinders the work of the tax collectors. But why is it so? It has a lot to do, first of all, with manpower availability, and then the skill sets of the manpower. The first one, of course, we agree that there are constraints when it comes to how much Ghana has to spend on employing more people. The second one, through the studies that we've done in the past month, we are telling that JRA is spending money on training, but we are not 100% sure if the training works.
And this training you're talking about is specific to the people who man the machines at the GRA?
That's right.
Okay.
Some of the studies we've done so far suggest that JRA has not gone to sleep. They are making efforts to train the people.
Okay.
And this is not to suggest that people are not doing what they ought to do. But because of the nature of their job, it's sometimes difficult for them to put down their tools and go for trainings and sit through the process.
So DRA, if I understand you, is pumping money into training, but the people who have to be trained are not available to be trained.
I believe the quality of the contact hours.
Okay.
I cannot make any conclusion now. We are still
okay.
trying to understand.
Fair
but this is my personal opinion. It's not from the study. But it could be that the quality of the contact hours is lower. And why is this so? I'm an auditor. I've gone for a training, and then a customer calls and says that they need me in the office to verify something for them. So I might go back to the office and then come back to the training session, and I would have missed certain things. So how DRA has tried a way to go around this by more or less arranging with the operator of the system, which is GCNet, to have representatives in as many of the offices as possible.
Okay.
So that if any staff has a challenge in using the system, they assess them. There's a difference between being computer literate and being able to use a software. There are softwares for architects. I am computer literate, but I may not be able to use it.
Okay.
And I get improvement in the skills only when I continuously use it. But what has deterred the staff from using the platform continuously is because of the downtimes. And from our study, we find that JRA, together with the GCNet, have attempted to address these downtimes through two ways.
Okay.
First of all, they have increased the number of servers. Because at peak period, they used to have very few servers. And many people attempt to access the data from those servers. And when it does that, the whole system shuts down. And in my
so that intervention is not working. I
also say that again.
So that particular intervention is not working.
We've made some progress, but I believe we need more of the servers. I think it's still not enough.
Okay.
So if it's possible to procure more and make the movement in and out of the system very quickly, it will help. Then, as I mentioned earlier on, GRA, together with GCnet has also moved from radio transmission to, put it in simple terms, fiber optics, which are more efficient in transmitting data in and out.
Okay.
So we do believe that we can still make more progress if we can spend additional money on the system. And then on the training, maybe there should be, the people should be blocked and prevented from coming back to the office when they are asked to go and train. I can go and sign in, then there are issues in the office, I rush back and I will not get the skills. So for some of the GCNet representatives, sometimes the calls they answer or when they go to assist their staff, they tend to say that, oh, I remember we taught you this. But because the things are so many and they didn't have so much time to get the training internalized, it becomes a bit of a problem.
Right.
Second, we have not been able to load all the paper documents onto the computer.
Yeah.
And most of them have just about 40%. So how can we quickly put the remaining 60% on the system so that anytime you go on there, you have everything you need? Finally, on the ITAPs, if their staff have taken so long to come this far with the trips, my initial assessment will be that for the public who are not into the tax administration system, it might take us longer. The only way to shorten that that long process is to give us more training. So if we can have simple handbooks that we can refer to as we go online, it might be helpful. If we can have things being taught to young people, if the games that young people play, they have certain aspects which relate to the system we are developing, we might build skill sets over time that we wouldn't have to pay for.
Okay, I'm going to throw it back to GRA. And I saw you nodding. You have been migrated. What is the plan? What can you tell us about the plan to migrate the rest onto the ITAP system, I believe, and to make it work? Let's take it from there and then we'll continue.
Let me take it from the last one.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that we have seen is that if you look at what is existing before ITAPs, at the end of every year, let's say OSU MTO, medium tax, has got, let's say, 5,000 taxpayers, and they are all supposed to submit their return. Let's say about 2,000, only 2,000 submit their return. Then this return comes in hard copy. Then they have to go to the trips that he was mentioned, and then key them in for all this 2,000. Now this ITAPs coming has shifted that key in into the user. So now you, the person who submits your return, you do it online.
Yeah.
So it's now going to relieve us from a lot of space.
Is it compulsory for people to log on to the ITAPs, or you can still go with manual?
You can still go with manual, but what we are saying is that for now, you can still come with the manual. But the question you have to look at, you weigh your time and then your money. Do you want to go on manual or you want to use the system? With this system, you can use it even midnight. You can still be working. Okay. So we are taking away that portion of work from our staff now into the users. Like if you want to file, then it comes to you, do all your keying in. All what the system will do is to check it and then you submit it. Now when it comes to training, what was saying that when people go to training, they call them back to the office. You know, sometimes you apply for something, TCC or task like that, and then I'm in charge. Then I've gone for training. and you want it, they call me and I come back. I have to come and finish it. And sometimes we are serving the customer.
How can we deal with this? I mean,
you're serving the customer at the same time.
You're serving the customer, but at the same time, the money that's been put into the training is being wasted because you don't get the training, you don't get the skill set.
Some of the things that has been suggested now is that some of the training should be done online for us.
Okay.
Not that it shouldn't be more of going to classroom to go and sit down. The person may be even within the office, and sometimes even can put small videos about the system on the system, so that when I'm working, I can even watch a short video about a process. I can do this, I can do. These are some of the things we can do. Rather, no, the number is not enough when taking them away. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the things that we are. And secondly, too, one thing I know that our public relation has also teamed up with the university, and we normally do quiz on taxation. We do them at the tertiary institutions. They've been doing it regional basis. So these are things that we are bringing in to help people to
So I bet that will address the issue about handbooks and engaging. You know, he said if you provide a small handbook, for example, will assist businesses, it will help enterprises.
The other issue that I want to mention is that soon our taxi drivers or commercial vehicles, and then those who pay the small taxes, will now use their mobile phone to do that.
Okay, how?
Now,
mobile money?
Yes, they're going to use their mobile money. You know, Nana said something like that. If I have a shop and I'll leave my shop to GRA and pay, and my colleague will not go, I'll lose that customer. So now we want to address that. So you can comfortably sit in your shop and then you can pay your money. Or the system will alert you that your tax is due, so and the amount is there, then you pay.
So this is like a mobile app?
Yes, yes. No, it's going to use the USSD, because when you come mobile app, then you have to have a smartphone. We are using the USSD platform, the star 1, 2, 3 4. You used to check it.
Because I think I saw a mobile app somewhere in the report, and I don't know if it is your mobile app or it was a. Is there an ISA recommendation for the GRA to have a mobile app, Dr. Holmes?
Website, and it works.
There was, because I think I saw something. I'm just unable to locate it at the moment on the paper. But I think there was a part where. So are you recommending that GRA provides, develops a mobile app, and how exactly do you want this app to help?
No, we are not recommending that. It was a consideration. Yeah, I think at some point that was being considered. But the point is, if you have a website, then it's possible to make an app which links you to it.
Okay.
Once you have a website,
it's possible.
It's possible to have an app.
I've got some inputs here in the studio. Let's take that and see. Nana, you wanted to say something to this?
See, all these points that we're raising, now we're taking them to the duty bearer, to GRA, to the hierarchy, from a perspective of private sector, and then the research findings, to agree on some of these things, timelines, and how we want to achieve them, and what would be the most effective way at least cost. Because at the end of the day, you want government to engage and get the maximum revenue from the taxpayers.
Sure.
We want the taxpayers to be able to be in compliance at the least cost to them and least inconvenience, in the sense that they can do it from the homes or the office of their businesses. And that is where now we are in the process of the research phase and the discussion phase. The next stage will be the final determination between private sector, the duty bearers, the GRA, to see these are the things we're going to do for the next 24 months and the timelines involved.
I think that moment, I mean, in the next week or the subsequent weeks we'll make it a bit more interactive, bring in our viewers, and we actually asked them to share their thoughts with us on social media, on Facebook, Facebook at JoyNews on TV, at Twitter, as well as at JoyNews on TV. So keep your comments coming, so that the next time we come on with this program, we take those comments, we take those thoughts, and then we deal with it, because they are the people who are also, on the ground. But I'm coming back to GRA again, because I mean, we're looking to make the system efficient. One of the key things that people have talked about when it comes to taxation is widening the tax net. I'm not sure what the plan is as part of this program to get a lot more of those in the informal sector involved. Is there a plan you'd like to share on the platform?
Yes, I mentioned that soon we are going to deploy the system where commercial vehicles will use their mobile wallet to pay, and also those who pay the tax stamp. Now, there are a lot of people who want to pay tax, but because of the services,
thank you very much.
Because of the kind of services that we have deployed out there, which makes it very difficult for them to leave their works and come to our office, they are not paying. So the moment we deploy this mobile app or this payment platform, automatically those who are not paying will be part of it, and it will widen the tax.
You talk about the transport, taxi drivers and commercial vehicles.
Yes.
Is it just for commercial vehicles, or people who sell cake like Dr. Holmes's friend can also use the USSD to pay their tax?
Yes, once we deploy that platform, you can, if you pay your personal income tax, like you submit your return and you need to pay, you can use your mobile money to pay the difference that you're supposed to pay.
What's
so you
the
can do that
timeline?
one. We are looking at, we just finished engaging the stakeholders. We went around the country, met all the stakeholders, the market women and all. We've done that one. They come up with what they want to be part of it. So we are looking at that one and then fleshing it up and then before. So we don't want to rush. We need more education before we deploy that system. So we are doing that one. So as you said, widen the tax test. Once people are not paying, but the person, it's not that they don't want to pay, they want to pay. But the means to pay, how to go and get this thing paid to GRA is difficult. And you say now it's a mobile platform. I will pay. It means that the platform or the widening of the tax net automatically will happen. Then those who are not paying, because it has become so sweet and enjoyable to pay your tax, they will join the train. So automatically, when we deploy this services,
Paying tax has never been sweet.
It can never be better. But this one is going to make
it you smiling because you say that this midnight I'll pay my taxes.
Making it easy, yes. But I know for a fact nobody will say paying tax. Paying tax
you'll be surprised,
is
though.
sweet.
You'll be surprised.
Is
A
it?
lot of private sector people, businesses, are looking to be in compliance voluntarily, without any intrusion or any push from anybody else. But because that's all the difficulties that we have identified. So to them,
we need to be honest.
Yes.
Paying tax is hard. Now, when the system is harder, it just it becomes a turn on. Okay, so I'm just debunking. Paying tax is sweet. Paying tax is not sweet, but it is a responsibility. That is how we keep up. It is the law. It is our responsibility as individuals, as citizens of this country, because that's how we keep the country going. But to make it easy is why we're having this conversation. So if you run your own business, like I said, you can share your thoughts with us on our social media platform. We're wrapping this conversation momentarily, and I'm going to take out from each of you. What is it that you want viewers, you want those who have followed this conversation, those who will be following in the coming weeks to take away from this? And if you're watching us, you do your business, we want you to spread this message, share it with your friends, with your colleagues. Tell them that the GRA is looking to make things easier for them to pay. We are JoyNews, and on our other platforms, on our Dome TV, on Super Morning Show, on Joy FM, we're putting this conversation together. We're bringing it to your doorstep so you can be a part of it. And we'll see how we'll make it easy for you to, do your, honor your responsibilities to the state. Let me start with the takeout with you, Dr. Holmes. You've done this research, you're still doing it, it's an ongoing research, but very insightful information so far that we've had. For you, if you were to advise those who have watched us, what should be the takeout for them?
Just one point, that when France raises 100 euros, they return 46 of it back to government to take care of the country. When Ghana raises 100 cities, we only return 13 cities to government.
It's a pity.
So if we ask that the Odo River be dredged, then we should also be asking ourselves the questions, where should the money come from?
Yeah.
So anything that we will do to make the work of GRA better and make it also easy for business people to grow their businesses, come back and pay those monies will be helpful. Thank you.
At the end of the day, there is profits for businesses, there is progress in the country, everybody has a better living standards. Doc, I'm really grateful for the way you practicalize the research and the way you make it really relevant to us. For example, your reference to the dredging of the Odo River is just perfect, because just yesterday we had a flood, we had flooding, and Circle is of course one of the most notorious flood-prone areas, and so it's really good the way you put it. Doc, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. I'm coming to you, Nana, because I will end with GRA, the people who we pay to make life easier for us.
Thank you. The people who pay the daily bread and all for government and
so
you.
what should people take out from this
I
conversation?
think the private sector should wake up to the point that now there are systems to allow you to do things easier, to do things to be in compliance, because it's a law. No matter how you slice or cut it, if you don't comply, you break the law. So we have no avenues but to be in compliance. Now that GRA is going to work with all the different business associations to educate the business people on the merits, and then make available this easier to use platforms that will allow private sector to do business and also become profitable and file their taxes in the comfort of their offices and homes. So we think that everybody should be coming on board to push the envelope that if you go to your local GRA, ask them about it. Ask them for literature on it. Make sure that they know about what is going on. And if you don't get any responses, you can either call the Private Enterprise Federation or you can call GRA, and then we definitely will be available to help.
And this is not just the one conversation. It's not a one-off conversation. We'll be having it momentarily. So do stick and stay with us here on multimedia platforms. Like I said, JoyNews, Adom TV, Adom FM, and of course, Joy FM. So, Mr. GRA, I'm coming to you for a wrap. We've seen all the work that you're doing, but for those who are listening, for those who are watching, I should say, and those who have perhaps not paying, but who really want to pay, what is the takeout? What should they go away from this interview with?
Okay, thank you. One thing that I will say is that, as I said initially, we are going to bring some of our services to your doorstep. And we want to make sure that we make it so easy for you to pay your taxes. And we are doing everything that we can to make sure. One of the things that we are doing is that we are not doing something that we are sitting in our office and doing. We are listening to our taxpayers for the difficulty that they are going through.
Okay.
If you look, for example, if you take the commercial vehicles, for example, when it's raining, they'll be in there. They just want to pay 12 cedis. Some of them, only 12 cedis will be in rain.
Yeah.
So we look at their pain, and we want to take that pain away.
Sincerely?
Yes.
Sincerely.
And with this platform, the ITAPS platform, there are certain things that you're going to get from ITAPS when you register to the portal. You can apply your tax clearance certificate online, and you receive it online. Okay. It's not that you apply and come physically. No, you receive it online. Okay. Not that we're giving you only to you online. We are also sending it to the demanding organization. Meaning that if you apply for a TCC to the visa, to American Embassy, we'll send it to American Embassy for you. You will not do that at our own cost using the system.
I see.
We're also going to allow people to apply for exemption.
Okay.
They can also, as Nana, I said earlier on, the record keeping is also coming online. We have a lot of things, packages that we are coming with the ITAPS. So we tell them that we want them to be assured that we want to make tax very easy so that they can pay.
So they want to make it easy for you so you can pay. And I say, let's also target the informal sector a lot more with this program, because I think it will help them a lot. It will encourage them to help us achieve our aim of widening the tax net. Thank you very much for coming. Nana Osei-Bonsu is president of the Private Enterprise Federation. Nana, thank you for coming.
I'm grateful.
Also here is Patrick Frimpong Danso. He's from the Office of the Commissioner for Domestic in charge of domestic tax reforms. All right, domestic tax revenue, domestic tax revenue. And and Dr. Andrew Ejay Holmes, who is a research fellow with ISE, who joined us via Skype. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been a very enlightening conversation for me, and I believe for my viewers and for those who do business. Well, Profit and Progress is a partnership between Multimedia Group, IEA, ISE, and PEF, and it's sponsored by the Department for International Development under the UK government.